The second half of the ductwork equation is duct types. A duct type handles the physical properties of your ductwork, including the routing preferences of your system. The routing preferences address whether tap or T connections are used, and what elbows are used, how the ductwork transitions when you change duct size. These preferences go so far as to determine what kind of cap and union is even used. And all these routing preferences are unique to each standard type or duct shape that is created. Now, Revit has 3 hard-coded duct shapes to create your duct types from. They are oval duct, rectangular duct, and round duct. And under each of these duct shapes, you can create as many duct types as your company needs. So moving into Revit, let's create and edit some duct types. Now going over to the project browser, you will want to expand the ducts category and then expand the duct type you want to create. In this case, let's expand rectangular duct and then right-click on the default type to duplicate that type. This will create default 2. Once the new duct type has been created, you can rename the duct type to something more descriptive. A common practice is to name the duct type related to the duct type's unique routing preferences. In this instance, we will rename the duct type to tap connection. To edit the routing preferences of this new duct type, right-click on the duct type and select Type Properties on the pop-up menu. And within the Type Properties dialog box that comes up, select the Edit button next to the Routing Preferences parameter to launch the Routing Preferences dialog box. This is the dialog box that allows you to determine your connection type and what duct fitting families you will use for each transition situation while routing your ductwork. A couple items to note while filling out these fields. These are the families that Revit will use as the preferred or default part when you are routing your ductwork using this duct type. However, these fittings are editable within the model. For example, if you need to use a different elbow than what Revit automatically puts in, you can change that fitting after the fact. Ultimately, these settings allow you to preset what your company standard or client standard may be on a project. And once you're done assigning the Revit families to the routing preferences, just apply the changes and select the OK button to exit the dialog boxes. A special thing to note, all the duct shapes, oval duct, round duct, and rectangular duct, must have at least one duct type assigned to it. If you try to delete the last duct type, Revit will generate an error stating that the last type and system family cannot be deleted. Now, as we continue to create and edit more duct types, we will move down to the round duct and duplicate the default duct type there. We will rename this default 2 to tap connection as well, and then right-click on the duct type and go to Type Properties to edit the routing preferences for the duct type. Now, as we select the families for each connection type, for the round duct, you'll notice the list of family options are different from the round connections compared to the rectangular connections. The reason for this is because Revit recognizes the duct shape you're working with and will allow you to select families that match that shape. So once you're done selecting the parts, select the OK button to exit out of the dialog box to apply the routing preferences. Now moving on to the global ductwork settings, you need to go to the Manage tab on the Settings panel and select the Mechanical Settings button from the MEP Settings drop-down arrow to launch the Mechanical Settings dialog box. Now be aware the settings within this dialog box affects all the ductwork in the entire model. It doesn't matter what system it is. And when you expand the duct settings category on the left side of the dialog box, you will notice 6 subcategories. We'll be looking at 4 of those 6 subcategories. To start, the angle subcategory gives the user 3 options for fitting angles. By default, Revit will allow the user to use any angle, including fractional angles. In option 2, you can set specific angle increments to minimize those fractional specialty angles. And option 3 only has the common predetermined industry standard angles. Let's select option 3 for now. Now option 3 is a static list that you cannot add or remove any of the values on that list. The only control you have in option 3 is a choice to use the angle in the layout. Moving on to the rectangular subcategory, we find a table with 3 columns. The size column, used in size list column, and used in sizing column. The size column is the list of sizes that are available to the height and width parameters of the rectangular ductwork. The used in size list column determines if a duct size is available for use while modeling ductwork manually, while the used in sizing column determines if a duct size is available for use while using the auto-generate ductwork feature. Both columns are controlled with a simple checkbox. Additional controls you have within this table is the ability to add or delete duct sizes to the table. To delete a size from the table, just highlight the size on the list and select the Delete Size button at the top of the dialog box. If you delete a size inadvertently or need to add a specific size, select the New Size button at the top of the dialog box and input the number in the duct size dialog box and then select OK. The new duct size will appear on the list. Let's add the 100-inch duct size back into the size list. All three duct shapes, oval duct, round duct, and rectangular duct subcategories, have unique duct size tables with the same three columns. You have the size column, the used in size list column, and the used in sizing column. As you see with the round duct table, the sizes stop at 90 inches. So we're going to add a 96-inch size to this list. The sizes in the round subcategory table are the values available for the duct diameter parameter on the round ductwork. Once you've completed adding and or removing duct sizes, and you've set your angle, go ahead and select the OK button to close the dialog box. And with these edits, your model-based sizes and duct angles are set for your Revit model.